Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about the strategic reserves. We got a lot more information on that today. This has been exciting me ever since I heard about it, because apparently you know what you can do with like strategy and tactics and all that kind of awesome stuff. I can let out my inner creed and start rolling dice and everything like that. And also we're going to be talking about the brand new little preview on the morale test, because they're doing some changes to that, something called combat attrition, which will affect your squad if you actually fail the morale test. So let's jump in, let's get talking about all this new cool stuff. So what are strategic reserves? This is one of the big talking points. It was briefly introduced to us that strategic reserves are going to be something where you can bring on different units throughout the game to bring another tactical advantage to that game. So for example, I could put in like maybe a tank in strategic reserve, I could put in a squad of aggressors, you know, a squad of intercessors, everything like that, then bring it in halfway through the game to add a new element of surprise tactics and all that kind of stuff. But the big thing, the big talking point was, how would it work? How do you put this in reserve? What does it cost? And they've cleared that up now with this new little chart. So the ability to use strategic reserves cost command points, but as you can see, this is all based on power ratings. Now, just a little talk about power ratings for a second. I am not familiar with power ratings at all. I always did my like list with points and everything like that, but looking at the new Crusader game mode that's going to be a part of 9th edition, I've been looking at power ratings a little bit more, speaking to some of my friends about power ratings, and at the moment, from my personal standpoint, I think power ratings are a tad bit broken. Like for 36 power, I can bring an Astraeus battle tank in with any loadout I want. For me, when I was looking at it, I was like, wow, that is like really good. But of course, on a gaming level, when you deploy that, that is a very powerful tank. So I'm not too sure, of course, if things are going to be tweaked to go into this power ratings. No one's stopping you from using points. If I'm not mistaken, I actually asked on the stream, and I think the power rating is 20 points at the moment. So for one power rating, it is 20 official points on the tabletop. Anyway, back to this chart here, so you can see it now. Strategic reserves. So the combined power rating of units placed in strategic reserves compared to the command points to place it into the strategic reserves. So again, this is all based on actual Battleforge lists. So if you have a unit that's between 1 and 9, it costs 1 command point. If it's between 10 and 19, it's 2 command points. 20 to 29, 3 command points. 30 to 39 is 4 command points. 40 to 49 is 5 command points, etc, etc. So that is how it will work. Now, one thing that was asked, and they've actually cleared up in this article, what does that mean for people like Terminators who can deep strike in, or certain units that have the ability to ambush, much like the Gene Stealer cults? They are separate from the strategic reserves. That unit does not apply to the strategic reserve. That is its own unit. It uses its own rules to come in on the battlefield, so you don't have to worry about putting them into strategic reserve to deep strike them in, to deploy them into the game. And there's also some more rules attached to this, and they broke it down in bullet points, which again is fantastic, easy to read, not like the dense cover the other day, which, you know, gave me a headache. Massive shout, by the way, for everyone explaining me that and stuff like that. It really did help me out. So battle round 1, you can bring in no strategic reserves. Battle round 2, you can set them up with wholly within 6 inches of any battlefield edge, not enemy battlefield edge or any battlefield deployment zone. Battle round 3 plus, set up with wholly within range of any battlefield edge and not enemy battlefield. Cannot be set up within 9 inches of enemy model. Strategic reserves units cannot make a normal move, advance or fall back in that turn. Strategic reserves units always count as having moved this turn. Any strategic reserve unit not set up on the battlefield at the end of the battle counts as destroyed. So that's a nice little summary. I like of course you can't bring it in battle round 1 because, you know, I'm going to hide all the important things off the board and stuff like that. It's just like how deep strikes working and stuff like that, so you can't just like jump on an army straight away. Of course you can't deploy it within in your enemy lines. You have to be a certain inches away from them. One of the really cool things about this is that there's no limit now what you can really put. Well, there is a limit depending on how many CPs you got to spend, but basically I can actually put like an executioner tank in reserve and actually bring that on halfway through, and you know, maybe that adds like a whole different firing arcs and stuff. I really do think that melee armies will really take advantage of this. You know, imagine bringing on some world eaters and stuff like that. Yes, of course you can't charge them and everything like that, but bringing them on so they're not really shot to everything like halfway through the game, and maybe the guy doesn't have as much firepower as he had at the start, so that way they won't take that much of a beating as you actually had them on the table from the start. So yeah, I think it could be really interesting. Plus, adding that to the whole new terrain features that we are still learning about, really. I think this could again you know, open up the game to be a very, very more strategic game. And also, morale is having big changes as well. We've got to get something called combat attrition that your troops have to take. So if someone fails morale in your squad, the basic thing is that one person dies, but then everyone else in that squad has to take something called a combat attrition test. So as you can see now on the screen in the background, combat attrition test, roll 1d6 for each remaining model in the unit. For each one additional model flees. And it says this could be affected by, you know, how many people you've got in the squad. So subtract 1 from the combat attrition test if this unit is below half strength. So if it is below half strength, then on 2s they actually flee. But he did mention actually on the stream that there's going to be certain modifiers to this, like maybe like there's a priest that gives you like a 1-up, you know, to your combat attrition, you know, maybe some like bits of terrain and stuff like that. Again, they briefly went over this. I suspect that the Imperial Guard article that they're going to be putting out today, again, as I'm recording this video, they haven't put that out, but I think they're going to go into more in-depth actually covering the actual rule. All right, Chaperonios, that's me done for another video. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. As always, I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback on everything that we've discussed today. So far, 9th edition for me is personally looking good, but I can't really make a full-on judgment about it until I actually get the full 9th edition rulebook in my hands, which of course is going to be in July. When in July, we literally have no idea. My personal thoughts have always been that it's got to be to the back end of July, probably pre-orders around the 10th or something like that, and then the Indominus box and the actual 9th edition book will be released then. Really am looking forward to getting my hands on them, and I can't wait to start building my Space Marine models and hopefully, you know, sit down and read the full 9th edition rulebook and see what it's all about when it comes to the terrain and everything like that. Until then, let me know your thoughts and feedback on this, on the strategic reserve, on the morale test, everything that we spoke about today. I'd love to get your opinions on it. Post it down below and we'll have a nice little chat down there as we always do. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day and bye-bye.